Ever wonder what Danielle Colby has been holding back? She finally opened up about Frank Fritz, and her story isn't pretty. Today, Danielle Colby shares her thoughts on Frank Fritz, and trust us, it's a must-hear. Why did she stay silent for so long? What did Frank do that pushed her to break her silence now? We're digging into the real story behind their relationship and asking all the questions. What really happened? And what does it mean for both of them? Stick with us as we uncover the truth in Danielle's own words. Frank Fritz and Danielle Colby were two integral figures in the world of American Pickers, a reality television show that premiered on the History Channel in 2010. Their relationship, both on-screen and off, was complex, shaped by their shared passion for antiques, their professional collaboration, and the personal dynamics that unfolded over more than a decade in the public eye. When American Pickers first aired, it introduced viewers to a trio of personalities: Mike Wolfe, Frank Fritz, and Danielle Colby. The show followed Wolfe and Fritz as they crisscrossed the United States, scouring barns, basements, and backyards for valuable antiques and collectibles. Colby, often stationed at Antique Archaeology, Wolfe's shop in LeClaire, Iowa, served as the operational backbone, managing logistics, researching leads, and occasionally joining the men on the road. The premise was simple but captivating: finding hidden treasures while uncovering the stories behind them. For Fritz and Colby, their on-screen chemistry contributed to the show's charm, though their roles and personalities were distinct. Fritz and Colby's relationship on screen seemed cordial and professional, based on their mutual love of hunting. Fritz usually traveled with Wolfe, so they weren't frequently paired together in the field, but when Colby joined them, they had a good time. She might make fun of Fritz's ability to haggle or laugh with him over a strange object, such as a rusty sign or a taxidermied animal. Even though their personalities were different, these moments suggested a friendship based on respect for one another. Colby was the free-spirited creative. Fritz was the pragmatic, straight-talking one. However, their relationship was effective and helped make the show appealing as a mashup of buddy comedy and history lesson. But the truth about their relationship was less clear-cut behind the scenes. Working long hours, traveling frequently, and feeling under pressure to produce engaging content were all part of the demanding production of American Pickers. Together with Wolfe, Fritz and Colby lived in close quarters for years while juggling the demands of reality TV and celebrity. This seemed to strengthen the bond for a while. In a 2017 interview, Colby praised Fritz's tender side, stating that his affection for his mother was an unexpected and sincere quality. Such remarks implied a degree of intimacy and an understanding of Fritz's character that went beyond his on-screen persona. But as the years went by, conflicts arose among the American Pickers team, especially in relation to Fritz. Fans began to speculate about his disappearance from the show by 2020. Later, it became clear that Fritz had been battling personal hardships like an alcohol addiction treatment program and health problems like back surgery and Crohn's disease. When Wolfe declared in July 2021 that Fritz would not be returning to the series, his departure was officially confirmed. This was a watershed moment for Fritz's relationships with his former co-workers, including Colby, as well as for the show. Colby's reaction to Fritz leaving was instructive. She broke her silence in August 2021 with an open Instagram post that alluded to deeper problems while also expressing sadness over his departure. She said that she had seen Fritz's difficulties over the previous 10 years and was truly saddened by them. She implied that Fritz's actions had hurt both him and other people with her measured yet incisive remarks. "We must be accountable for our actions when we cause instability or pain and suffering to others," she said, emphasizing the importance of accountability. Her tone conveyed a sense of distance, as if the events leading up to his departure had caused tension in their relationship, even though she wished him well. A rift that had probably been simmering for a while was exposed by this public declaration. In the same post, Colby referred to Wolfe as her big brother and best friend, suggesting that she was loyal to him. She said she was committed to continuing the show with Wolf and commended his handling of the situation. Fans finally realized that Fritz and Colby were not as close as their on-screen interactions might have implied. Rather, Fritz's personal struggles and the demands of the show appear to have put their relationship to the test, which Colby suggested had affected the team dynamic. After Colby left, Fritz, for his part, said very little about him. He talked more about his tense relationship with Wolf in interviews, saying he was upset that Wolf hadn't gotten in touch with him during his health issues. He left their status unclear by failing to directly respond to Colby's remarks. Their once cordial and professional relationship appeared to have waned based on the absence of reciprocal commentary. Fritz was more concerned with his own path, recovery, sobriety, and the desire to pick again than with patching things up with Colby. By 2017, the team's formerly cohesive dynamic began to clearly break down as the pressures increased. They suffered from the demands of a nationally syndicated hit. Frank, who was increasingly struggling under the constant waves of production demands, stood in stark contrast to Mike, who was now weighed down by an ever busier schedule and growing stress. Frank's health problems, especially the burdensome consequences of his long-term illness, started to take center stage. Missed days, hurriedly ended phone conversations, and the obvious signs of fatigue became everyday occurrences. Danielle struggled to balance her devotion to both men, a constant in a world that seemed to be rapidly going insane, with the agonizing knowledge that the success they had all worked so hard to attain was eclipsing their treasured times of companionship. In March 2020, this tension reached a dramatic turning point. Frank had already reached what could only be described as a breaking point due to his declining health and the relentless demands of the show. He left a void where his steady, quiet influence once existed when his final episode aired with an unnerving abruptness. Mike broke the bad news to Danielle in a resigned, whispered voice. Frank was done. It was a statement that hurt with personal loss, but also carried the weight of inevitable. In addition to signaling the end of Frank's career with the show, the news also marked the tragic end of an era characterized by true friendship and respect for one another. For Danielle, the news was a profound and agonizing revelation, a moment of clarity amid the chaos. Following Frank's departure, there were significant repercussions. Already prepared by constant speculation, the public started to piece together tales of discord and treachery. Rumors of a feud and teams breaking up due to unsaid pressures were all over social media. However, in July 2021, Danielle decided to speak out in the face of growing rumors and enduring public interest. She responded to the increasing clamor of false information with a well-planned social media post, a selfie she shared with Mike that conveyed solidarity while concealing her inner sorrow. She explained calmly that what many had thought was a dramatic fallout was actually the tragic result of Frank's continued health issues. Behind her calm exterior was a flood of grief. Disclosures of 17 hospital stays over 2 turbulent years, an unrelenting fight with Crohn's disease made worse by other stresses in life. Her words were meant to correct the record, to remind fans that the apparent fractures were caused by human frailty and the harsh realities of chronic illness, rather than to stoke drama. In the years that followed, the narrative took an even more dark turn. Frank's condition worsened in spite of the crew's best attempts to help him. He suffered a severe stroke in 2022, which added another tragic chapter to his story and permanently damaged the show's once vibrant spirit. His battle against the unrelenting progression of disease was a silent tragedy that served as a sobering reminder that even the strongest people can fall victim to fate. Then the unimaginable occurred. Frank died in October 2024. In a private, intimate moment, Mike broke the news to Danielle, and it struck like a low, mournful chord. Danielle had to deal with the gap in her personal and professional lives as a result of the significant loss, which was the result of years of unsaid suffering and unavoidable decline. Danielle allowed herself to be interviewed in the months that followed this tragic incident, revealing the unvarnished realities of life in the spotlight. She reflected on how impossible it is to strike a balance between genuine friendship and the demands of celebrity while revisiting the years of intense pressure and silent sacrifice. It was an introspective, intensely personal analysis of the myths that had long distorted the public's understanding of the inner workings of the show. Instead, she presented a moving story of two men whose starkly different personalities were both a strength and a weakness, shattering the idea of a feud. Frank, the kind, meticulous defender of authenticity, and Mike, the unstoppable dreamer, were never enemies in the traditional sense. Rather, they were two souls enmeshed in a storm of ambition and escalating health issues.